Okay, welcome to this video, guys, on the 5 habits to master for financial freedom. So what I'm going to be running through with you today are the habits that I implemented pretty much daily over the last 7 years in order to be able to achieve what I have. So anyone who doesn't follow me already or who hasn't seen any of my videos previously, I started my journey at around the age of 25 when I decided enough was enough and I wanted more for me and my family financially. I wanted to take control of our finances, eliminate our debts, escape that constant cycle of servicing debts, have a plan in place to retire early because we had a kid on the way. I didn't want us to be working into our 60s. I wanted us to have more time together. And ultimately, what ended up happening through taking consistent action against these habits that I installed into our life, I ended up actually being able to escape my 9 to 5 at the age of 32 and won't have to work a day past my 40s if I don't want to, okay? And these 5 habits are really simply broken down in this presentation, in this video, so that you can take them yourself, implement them into your life and achieve similar results, okay? So these are the 5 habits that I mastered and implemented daily that enabled me to quit my 9 to 5 at 32 and will enable me to stop working at 40 if I want to, because that's what this is all about, right? It's not necessarily about just retiring to sit on your ass and read a newspaper and do nothing all day or play golf, whatever it is, unless that's what you want to do. It's about giving you the optionality, the choice to be able to do what you want with your time when you choose without having to ask for permission, okay? That's what it's all about. Now, getting started then. So the first habit that I implemented was rationalizing our spending, because I recognized early on that we were spending beyond our means, okay? We weren't necessarily racking up debt every month, but whenever we needed something like that was like more than a few £100 or dollars, right? We would have to put it either like on a credit card or a loan or a finance agreement because we just couldn't afford it, and we didn't want to have to wait and save for months on end in order to be able to buy that thing. And that was a terrible habit to fall into because we ended up in this cycle of constantly servicing one debt, and then when one of them fell off the list and we finally paid it off, we would just add another one and replace it, or 2 maybe. It was a terrible situation to be in. So we used a simple budget to just keep our spending under control, really. And we were tracking our income versus our outgoings. We used that calculation to basically identify the difference between those two so that we could identify our free cash flow every single month, and we assigned that free cash flow to things that would help us achieve our goals. So what I want to show you here is just an idea of what the spreadsheet that I built. So this is the first tab of the spreadsheet, so the monthly balance sheet, and in here we would set our plan at the beginning of the month. Okay, so in these planned columns all through here, and then throughout each month, we would then come through and add what we were actually spending against that plan. So obviously for your fixed costs and things like that, for your mortgage, bills and stuff that are fixed, then, those amounts didn't change. But for things like your luxuries, so like your eating out, your Netflix, your shopping, your music subscriptions, takeaways, things like that, obviously those weren't always exactly what you estimated they might be or what you hoped they would be. So doing this helps you really kind of understand if you were on track to meet your target and how you were trending towards that plan that you set yourself, so that you could change your trajectory throughout the month by making an informed decision about what to do with your finances, stopping you from overspending, keeping your spending under wraps, and allowing you to have more money that you could actually save and invest towards your longer term goals. And that's what this is all about, right? So this is the spreadsheet I built. So this one obviously shows you your free cash flow is down here. Let me just move my face out of the way. So your free cash flow is worked out here. So it takes your income versus your outgoings and it calculates your free cash flow for your plan and your actual. It shows you what your income is versus your outgoings, so your plan and your actual, and what your spend is via different categories. It also shows you your savings rate down here as well, which is really helpful. So getting back to this. So that was number one, rationalizing our spending. And for anyone who's getting started on a journey of personal finance and wanting to improve their situation, take control of their finances and their money, this is where you have to start, is rationalizing what you are currently spending and getting a very clear idea of where you currently stand in terms of your finances and what you're spending and bringing in month to month, week to week, day to day. Okay. Next up was habit number 2, which was systemizing our debt elimination. Okay, so the first thing we had to do was just simplify things and accept, right? And by that, I mean, we had to accept that there was an issue and do something about it, right? Debt repayments ultimately make it really hard to achieve anything fast when it comes to your finances. So it's got to become a priority to eliminate your debts before you really do anything else, particularly debts that you are paying interest on. Okay, now all of our free cash flow went towards our debt elimination in the beginning. Okay, the next step of this habit was putting order in place. So starting with the highest interest first was the order that we went in. So, you know, the credit cards, the loans with higher interest rates, we paid those off starting with the highest interest first. And once each one was cleared, we then stacked the payment from that debt that we were paying off. Say it was like £200 a month on a credit card, and the next one was just £100 a month to meet the minimum requirement. Once that credit card was paid off, we would take that £200 and add it to the £100 minimum payment on the next debt, so the loan in this scenario, and use the 300 to pay that loan off even faster. And say you've got like 5, it stacks up, it snowballs or avalanches, whatever method you use, and you pay it off even faster. So there's different methods you can use, you know, snowball method, avalanche method, either using the highest interest rate first or the highest balance first or the smallest balance first. There's a different calculator that you can use. So that last point there I mentioned, use a debt elimination calculator. So I personally have a debt elimination calculator that I give to all of my clients that I work with to help them eliminate their debts. And this we can use to basically map out each of those scenarios and see which one in their specific circumstances is going to save them either the most interest or reduce their term by the longest amount. And we go with whatever one helps them sleep better at night ultimately and meets their other goals and things like that, because you've got to tie this in with everything else that you're working on and working with. So there's that. By the way, I'll leave the link to the monthly balance sheet that I showed you before. So just like the cut down version, it only contains that one tab. It's a free download, so you can get started with at least the first habit. And then, you know, as you move on, you can get started with the rest of it. So habit number 3 was I made more money. And I know I say that as if that was really simple. It wasn't, but in reality, well, I say that it was simple. It wasn't necessarily easy, but it was really, really simple. If you just focus your energy on trying to do what you can in your circumstances to make more money for you in your situation, you will do it. So for example, at my 9 to 5, I made myself a high value employee. To do that, I simply made sure that I was completing tasks to the best of my ability. The funny thing is, right, is a lot of the time it's about doing the bare minimum consistently and well, because most people simply can't do or don't have it within them to do the bare minimum, definitely not consistently. So if you can do that, you're already ahead of like 80% of people, in my opinion. And then it's identifying those tasks that are important to your direct manager and their manager, ultimately their boss, and thinking of ways that you can complete those tasks and prioritize those tasks, and then find ways of making their life easier. By doing that, you'll make their life easier because that's important to them, and by you doing it, it's a load off their minds. But if you can literally ask them directly, what can I do to make your life a little easier? What responsibilities can you give me in order to help your life be easier so that I can progress, so that I can gain exposure to different people and tasks to help me progress through my career? I did that and I delivered consistently. And in the 8 years that I worked at my previous employer before I left, my income went up 150%. Okay, I had some of the highest performance ratings. I know I had the highest performance ratings of anyone on my team because my manager told me so. And over the years that I was in there, I had some of the highest probably within the site that I worked on. And I'm not special. And, you know, it was simply a case of not just the hardest worker in the room, be the smartest worker in the room. Think about those tasks that are going to have the highest ROI for you and your income, okay? And by that, they end up, by way of that, being the high ROI tasks for your company as well. Because when you complete those and your boss ends up doing well, then they're more likely to want to reward you, okay? So alongside my 9 to 5, I also started a side hustle. So I stopped using social media to just doom scroll constantly. I actually turned off all of my notifications for Facebook, Instagram, and everything like that, and immediately stopped using it. It was notifications that were taking me back to that app all the time because they ping up on your phone and you think you're missing out. So you've got to check on something. Oh, someone's liked something, dopamine hit, right? So I turned off all of my notifications and I just started using Twitter to build a brand and share my story about trying to improve my circumstances and build wealth. Okay. Once I had done that, I then created some digital products with the aim of trying to help people do what I was doing, essentially take control of their finances. So the budgeting tool and the financial freedom playbook, and now what is termed the financial freedom planner, that you get the fully fledged all-in-one finance tracking and achievement tool. Okay, by doing that consistently for a period of years, I was able to replace my 9 to 5 after 2 years of consistency. Now, the trick with once you start making more money is to keep your expenses the same as your income increases. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. Keep your expenses the same as your income increases, because then you get this massive gap between those two numbers that you can then put towards ultimately your financial goals, your investing goals, debt elimination goals, whatever it is. Because ultimately, high income plus low expenses equals more free cash flow. So this is how you become financially free fast. This is how I was able to escape my 9 to 5 at 32, because my income not only replaced my 9 to 5, it replaced it with enough then for me to be able to continue investing actually more than I've ever been able to invest before in order to achieve my financial independence goal within my 40s. So this is huge. The making money piece is the biggest part of all of this, but you can't start trying to make more money until you've got your current money situation under control, because otherwise, as you earn more money, your lifestyle will simply inflate. You'll spend more. You won't create that gap between your expenses and your income, and you'll just be spinning your wheels, and that's not what we want. Habit number 4, we'll face that the way again, was I tracked our finances like a business. Okay, so the tool that I showed you tracks our monthly and our yearly expenses, our spend by category like I showed you, our savings rate like I showed you. It also tracks our savings, investments, equity and assets, and our debts, and then it reports out on our net worth, which is basically the health of your current finances. And I want to show you how it does this. So obviously I've showed you this tab already. So this is where it tracks our monthly, this is the monthly balance sheet where it tracks. So, you know, your income versus your outgoings, your planned expenses versus your actual expenses, income versus outgoings in the chart, spend via category, and your savings rate down here. It also tracks your yearly expenses, so you can see what you're spending over the period of an entire year on things like holidays, gifts, insurance, and things like that. That's important for when it comes to calculating your expenses in retirement, which I'll come to in a second. Like I mentioned in the presentation slide, it tracks your savings, your house equity and assets, and your debts, and then it uses all of that information to automatically calculate your net worth. Now, this is an example spreadsheet, so it's just got some some errors with the numbers and stuff where I've just been playing around with it. But ultimately it uses that information to track your net worth. There's also a side income tab in here as well. So if you do start generating a side income, you can track what your expenses are versus your revenue, so you can see what profit you're making every month. Now, like I mentioned, the net worth is important because it shows you the health status of your current finances. Obviously, you want your net worth to be trending upwards. If it's trending downwards consistently and not showing signs of recovery, then you know you're making poor financial decisions, right? Or we're just in a particularly bad market if you've got a huge amount of your net worth invested. But for the most part, you know, it means you can, again, make an informed decision about what to do with your finances to turn that around and make your net worth go up again. The Freedom Planner. Now, this enables you to calculate your FI number. So that's your financial independence number, and that's the amount of money you need saved or invested in order to never have to work again a day in your life, okay? So I'll drop the link in the description to the Financial Freedom Planner, so the fully fledged all-in-one financial freedom tracking and planning tool, okay? But I just wanted to show you quickly again how that works. So the expenses and retirement tab, basically, once you know what your yearly expenses are, you can come through and add those figures into these tables here. And what it will do is it will work out what your complete yearly expenses are down here, tell you what your pre-tax income required is in order to be able to cover those expenses, and then multiply that number by 25 to give you your FI number. Your FI number, as I mentioned, is the amount of money you need invested in order to stop working. Okay, now you'll see that there's a pound currency symbol in this. It doesn't really matter. The numbers are the same no matter what currency or location you live in. But as if you do decide to download this tool, there is a version with a dollar symbol and a version with a euro symbol as well to cover all bases. And then there's an instructional video to show you how to change the currency to anything else that you want it to be as well. So it works no matter where you are in the world. So once you've got that FI number, it tells you what your safe withdrawal rate limit is, which will be the same as the pre-tax required income, because that is the amount of money that you're going to draw down to cover those expenses. And then you use these tables over here to determine what savings and investment values you're going to have by your target retirement age, and it will tell you if you have enough money to meet that goal. So it will go green if you do and red if you don't, and show you what the difference is, so the gap that you need to fill or the gap that you have, you know, surplus, based on the numbers that you put in. So it's a really great way of being able to plan how to retire early and achieve your goals. So then the final habit that I implemented was that I harnessed the wealth building power of the stock market. So I taught myself how to invest, how the markets work, and the differences between different asset types. So stocks, index funds, ETFs, bonds, rights, etc. Once I had that information and I had a good idea of how it all worked, and I understood the risks associated with different asset types and things like that, I then took action, because there's no point, you know, at some point you can read all the books and all the articles and all the social media pages in the world, but at some point you've actually got to dive in and start taking action based on what feels right for you, okay? And then you'll learn the rest along the way, I promise you. So I took action. So I eliminated our debt first. I built an emergency fund first. I opened a brokerage account. I took my employer match, and then I put all of our free cash flow into the stock market. Now, I couldn't do any of this, like this last step, this putting all our money in the stock market, until I built our foundation. And our foundation is these top 4 points here. So eliminating your debt, building an emergency fund, obviously having a brokerage account, first of all taking your employer match if they offer one, and then you start investing for yourself personally. Now, the trick here is don't go straight to investing. A lot of people, they'll just say, I want to start investing. They won't determine their goals, therefore they don't know how much money they actually need to invest each month to achieve an end result. They won't know what kind of returns they need, therefore they don't know what asset types they need to invest in. Generally, they'll jump into something really high risk and end up losing money as a result because they didn't understand it and they couldn't handle the volatility, and it just ends up being a mess. So make sure you do all of these other things first. Don't go straight into investing. Build your foundations, educate yourself on the basics, identify your goals and create a plan, so a strategy that you're going to use to achieve those goals, then invest. That's how it's done. So in summary, mastering these 5 habits before the age of 30 has set me up for life, undoubtedly, okay? No matter what your age or your circumstances right now, you can achieve similar, and I can make that happen for you, okay? So the Financial Freedom Academy is how I make that happen. So inside, you'll learn how to take control of your finances today and how to build a plan to retire as soon as possible. In fact, I help you build that plan. I build the plan for you, but just alongside you so that you're happy with it and that it meets, your goals, your risk tolerance and all that good stuff. Inside, so some of the results that the students have been getting already are insane. Okay, so on average, students are saving an extra $1,900 a month. They've saved on average $30,000 in interest on their debts, and they are set to retire on average 17 years early. Now, obviously those numbers vary, which is why I've put the averages in here. But for example, I've got people in the academy who are 23 and I've got people in the academy who are 53, right? You can guess who's going to be retiring earlier. Okay, but that said, even the person who joined at 53, who just wanted to make sure they'd have enough money to retire at 67 when the state pension kicks in, actually we were able to knock 5 years off of their retirement age and show them a way that they could retire at 62 instead of 67. So they've just gained back 5 of their healthy years to do what they want when they want, knowing that money is not going to be an issue. So that peace of mind alone is, worth its weight in gold. What's included? So the first thing you get access to when you sign up is the video course and the tools, okay? So this is a series of detailed video lessons that you just watch in the order that they're given to you in, and they're going to show you exactly what you need to do step by step to achieve each of your goals using the tools provided. So that tool that I showed you, okay? So now this is the education element of it, so that you go through at your own pace, right? And you'll learn how to manage and invest your money along the way to achieve your goals sooner rather than later, to make sure everything's really optimized. So you go through that at your own pace. The next pillar, okay, so the second pillar of the 3 is the one-on-one roadmap. So in this one-on-one, we'll map out your plan for achieving your goals based on your specific circumstances. Now that's really, really important because everyone's individual circumstances are obviously completely different. So this is why the one-on-one element of this is so important, because I can give you a course, I can give you just the video course, but you're going to get to a point where you're like, well, I've got this unique situation where, I'm this age and I can't access this type of account, or I've got this income, therefore I don't get access to these things. What do I do? And this is why the one-on-one element is so important. So, it just really does vary so much. So that's why we tailor it to your circumstances. So the outcome is just to give you absolute clarity on exactly what steps you're going to take to achieve your goal. But more importantly, it's about knowing exactly when you will achieve each goal. And we will map out your plan and literally assign dates to each step, to each goal, so that you know when you're going to complete each goal and where you're going to be in the future. And that's so that you can look forward with clarity and certainty and excitement as well, right? Because you want to feel excited about your future, not looking forward with where am I going to be? Am I going to have enough to retire? Am I going to be able to support our kids? Am I going to be able to pay our bills? Will I be able to still have a nice car? Will I be able to still go out to eat with my wife? You don't want to have to worry about those things. We map it all out. We plan those things into your life and make sure that you are put in a position where you can afford the lifestyle that you actually want in retirement. And the sad thing is, people who aren't planning in this way, in this detail, and that's 99% of people, are not going to be able to afford the lifestyle that they want in retirement. I can guarantee you, because they're simply not putting the plans in place. And by the time anyone under 57 now comes to retire, the state pension isn't going to be there, or a very different version of it is, because both the US and the UK government are currently trying to figure out how they're going to pay for it. And their budgets are set to run out for both those state funded pension plans in around 2033 to 2035. So unless you're planning to retire before that, you can't count on it. Okay, so the third pillar is coaching and accountability. So you will have questions throughout the process. You get 12 months of ongoing access to me. So you can fire me questions whenever you want. Something needs realigning in your plan, we can hop on a call to realign that as and when needed. And we also have a weekly group coaching call every single week where we go over specific topics like index funds, tax efficient investing, credit card hacks, how to build and structure a portfolio, what you're determining your risk appetite, like all of these things. Okay, we go over a different topic every week and leave time for Q&A as well. So, you know, it's a huge amount of information that you're getting. It's one of those things where you simply haven't had this clarity and this structure and this, you know, rigor around achieving your goals until you do something like this, like a program like this, an intensive program like this, because you've got a life and family and hobbies and a job and things you have to go and do. Figuring all of this stuff out for yourself, right, is going to take a long time. It took me 2 years and then I took action. This is me being able to give you what took me 2 years to learn and build on day one of your journey, so you can hit the ground running and achieve incredible results ASAP. So the next steps, I'm going to leave a call below so that you can book a free strategy call with me. It's going to be the first link. So the first link will be the link to book a call with me. The second link will be the free budgeting tool. The third link will just be the spreadsheet. So the fully fledged spreadsheet that you can download separately if you want to try and do this on your own. I recommend you get help because we can help you achieve your goals a hell of a lot faster. Now, if you're not quite ready to book a call yet for whatever reason, if you're, thinking, oh, I need a bit more information about how this kind of works, or you want to, just learn a bit more about the process, I am hosting a free webinar that is coming up. Okay, so what I will do is I will leave a link to that in the description as well. So the second link will actually be the link to the webinar. The third link will be to the budgeting tool. The fourth link will be to the spreadsheet. Okay, so in the webinar, we are going to cover how to retire 17 years early with only 2 hours of work per month, because that is what it took me implementing these strategies, was 2 hours of work every month to build everything that I've built. Okay, so thank you for watching so far. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I've got loads more stuff like this planned to help you take control of your finances and manage and invest your money in order to become financially free. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you check out my other social media pages at FiSavvy or Financially Savvy across social media, and I will see you in the next video.